She was the kind of girl that made heads turn wherever she went. Flawless, radiant, with hair so long and beautiful it glistened under the sun. Everyone admired her, everyone except one person, her stepmother. Consumed by jealousy, the woman couldn't stand watching Amara shine brighter than her own daughters. So one dark night, while the world slept, she crept into Amara's room with a pair of scissors and did the unthinkable. Amara woke up to find her precious hair gone, her crown, her pride, stolen by envy. She wept bitterly, thinking her life was over. But what she didn't know was that this very act of wickedness would lead her straight into the arms of destiny. A bald head that was meant to bring her shame became the very thing that changed her life forever. Stay with us till the end. This story will break your heart, heal it again, and leave you speechless. If you're new here, subscribe, share, and get ready for another unforgettable African story of jealousy, pain, and poetic justice. Let's dive in. The morning sun filtered softly through the old curtains of the Agu family's bungalow in Nsukka, Enugu State, casting golden streaks of light on the walls. The roosters had just begun to crow, and the air smelled of dew, wood smoke, and pap boiling on the charcoal stove. Inside the small but cheerful home, laughter echoed, the laughter of a father and his beloved daughter. Little Amara sat on a wooden stool as her father, Maziagu, carefully braided her long black hair. His thick fingers struggled to part the silky strands evenly, but he didn't mind. Each stroke of the comb reminded him of the wife he had lost, the only woman he had ever loved. "Papa, you're pulling too hard," Amara squealed, giggling through the pain. "Ah, sorry, my little wife," Maziagu said with a grin. "You know your hair is stubborn, like your late mother's own. But it is beautiful, and just like you." He leaned back to admire his work, then kissed her gently on the forehead. "Ngozi, wherever you are," he whispered under his breath, "your beauty lives in this child." It had been 6 years since Ngozi Agu died, giving birth to Amara, and in all those years, Mazi Agu had never remarried. He poured all his love, energy, and devotion into raising his daughter. He called her my little wife, not because he wanted her to replace his late spouse, but because she embodied the same gentleness and grace. To him, she was his comfort, his laughter, and his reason to live. Everywhere they went, people admired them. "Mazi Agu, this your daughter resembles your late wife. Oh, Chai, see beauty. Her hair alone is enough to open a beauty salon." He would smile proudly and reply, "She is my joy, my blessing from God." Amara grew up surrounded by warmth. Her father made sure she went to school, bought her books, and even learned to make her favorite dish, jollof rice with fried plantain. In the evenings, they would sit on the veranda, watching the sun set behind the hills, and Mazi Agu would tell her stories about courage, kindness, and faith. "Papa," she asked one night, her small head resting on his shoulder, "why don't I have a mummy like the other girls in my class?" He sighed softly, his heart aching. "Your mummy is in heaven, my dear. She watches you every day. That's why you must always be good, kind, and strong." Amara nodded solemnly. "Then I will always make her proud." And she did. She grew into a bright, cheerful, and beautiful young girl, one who captured hearts wherever she went. Her hair was her crown, thick and long, falling in waves past her shoulders. Women in the market often stopped her just to touch it. But as Amara grew, so did the whispers. Neighbors began to talk. "It is not good for a man to live without a woman. He is growing old. Who will take care of the child if he falls sick? He needs a woman's hand in the house." At first, Mazi Agu ignored them. He was content with Amara. But late at night, when the lamp flickered and loneliness whispered through the rooms, he would find himself thinking of those words. Maybe he thought Amara truly needed a mother's guidance, someone who could teach her womanhood, who could braid her hair better than his clumsy hands. That was when Madame Veronica came into their lives. She was a plump, fair-skinned woman in her late 30s who sold foodstuffs at the market. She had a soft smile and often helped Amara when she came to buy things. "Ahia, your papa sent you again," she would say. "Come, sit under my umbrella." You're sweating. Amara liked her immediately. She would sit and tell Madame Veronica stories about school, her friends, and her dreams. Sometimes Madame Veronica would give her small gifts, groundnuts, mangoes, or ribbons for her hair. One afternoon when Mazi Agu came to the market to buy yams, Madame Veronica greeted him warmly. "Ah, my customer, you have such a good daughter." She always greets me respectfully. Some children these days have no manners. Mazi Agu smiled gratefully. "She is all I have left, Ma. I thank God for her." Over time, Veronica began visiting their house occasionally, helping with cooking and cleaning. She treated Amara kindly, and the girl grew fond of her. To Mazi Agu, it felt natural. She was filling a gap in his home. One evening after dinner, he said quietly, "Amara, what do you think of Auntie Veronica?" Amara smiled. "I like her. She makes the best okra soup, Papa." He chuckled. "Would you like her to stay with us permanently?" "Maybe, as your new mummy." Amara hesitated for a moment, then nodded innocently. "If it will make you happy, Papa." That night, Mazi Agu made up his mind. For the first time in years, he allowed himself to hope again. A few months later, he and Madame Veronica were married in a small traditional ceremony. The compound came alive with dancing, drums, and laughter. Amara looked beautiful in her blue Ankara dress, smiling as her father danced with his new bride. "See our new family," people cheered. "Agu's house is whole again." For a time, it truly was. Veronica brought life and warmth to the home. She had two daughters of her own, Cynthia and Ada, who were older than Amara. They played together, fetched water together, and shared stories before bedtime. For Mazi Agu, it was heaven. He finally had the family he'd prayed for. Every evening he would say proudly, "God has blessed me with 3 daughters." What more could a man ask for? But as the months passed, a shadow slowly crept into that happiness, a shadow no one saw coming. Because though Veronica smiled during the day, she couldn't ignore what she saw in people's eyes whenever Amara entered the room. Admiration, praise, love, and deep inside her heart, a quiet seed of jealousy began to grow. For a time, the Agu household was filled with joy again. After the quiet years of loneliness, Mazi Agu's marriage to Madame Veronica brought a new rhythm to the home. Laughter, aroma of freshly cooked meals, and children's voices echoing in the courtyard. Amara, who once ate alone with her father, now sat with her 2 new stepsisters, Cynthia and Ada, around the family dining table. They ate together, played 10-10 in the evenings, and fetched water from the borehole in groups. To everyone in the community, Mazi Agu was a man who had been blessed twice. "Aya, our brother has found joy again," neighbors said. "Madame Veronica is a good woman, oh. She takes care of that man like a queen." And truly, at first, Veronica was the perfect wife. She would wake early, cook hot yam porridge, pack lunch for the girls, and greet everyone with a smile. Her laughter filled the compound, and her soft-spoken tone made everyone feel welcome. To Amara, she was more than a stepmother. She was Mama Veronica, the mother she had prayed for. Amara followed her everywhere, helping her in the kitchen and market. Whenever Veronica returned from selling foodstuffs, Amara would rush to collect her bag. "Thank you, my daughter," Veronica would say warmly, handing her a small meat pie or mango. "You're such a good girl." Those words made Amara's heart swell with joy. She loved helping her mother, she loved her new sisters, and most of all, she loved seeing her father happy again. But deep within Veronica's heart, something dark had begun to stir, the birth of envy. It began innocently enough, little things, passing remarks, harmless comparisons. When visitors came, they would praise Amara endlessly. "This girl will cause trouble, oh," one auntie exclaimed during a family gathering. "See that skin, see that hair, see that face. She took all her mother's beauty." Even Veronica's own relatives would say, "Madame Vero, your husband's daughter is finer than your 2 girls combined." Veronica would laugh loudly to hide her discomfort, but inside she burned. Her daughters, Cynthia and Ada, were pretty, yes, but Amara was strikingly beautiful. Her skin glowed like honey, her smile drew people in, and her long, thick hair seemed to flow with life. When they walked together in public, people often turned to look at Amara first. Men selling goods in the market would call out, "Fine girl, I'll come by and buy tomatoes. I go give you extra." And though Amara was only a teenager, men had begun to notice her. Wealthy traders, politicians, and even young university boys. They admired her confidence, her gentleness, her hair that shimmered under the sun. Each compliment Amara received felt like a slap to Veronica's face. She told herself she wasn't jealous. She was a grown woman, a mother of two, but the truth was impossible to deny. One night, while sitting with her cousin Ngozi in the kitchen, she finally let it out. "I don't understand," Veronica said bitterly, stirring a pot of agusi soup. "Everywhere I go, it's always Amara this, Amara that. What about my own daughters?" Ngozi laughed. "But my sister, the girl, fine, no be her fault. Maybe she just blessed past your pikendom." Veronica shot her a sharp look. "Blessed? With whose charm? Since she came into my life, people see me like dust. Even my husband praises her every moment." Ngozi shrugged. "Yusef, calm down. You are the wife now. That girl cannot take your place." But Veronica couldn't calm down. Each day, the resentment grew. She began to notice every little thing Amara did, the way she spoke gently, the way her laughter drew attention, the way even her daughters looked up to her like an idol. Ada once said innocently, "Mommy, I want to be like Amara when I grow up." That was the day Veronica's heart finally hardened, the first signs of change. The kindness that once defined Madame Veronica began to fade slowly, like morning dew under the sun. She no longer called Amara my daughter. Instead, she barked orders. "Awa, go and sweep that compound. Amara, why are you sleeping when there is cassava to peel? Amara, don't you know how to greet your elders properly again?" At first, Amara thought her mother was just tired or stressed. She tried to obey quickly, hoping to please her. But no matter how hard she worked, nothing was ever enough. When she fetched 10 buckets of water, Veronica would say, "Did I not tell you to fill the drum? 10 buckets can't fill half." When she cooked stew, she'd complain, "Too much salt. You want to kill me?" Even her sisters began to notice. Cynthia, the eldest, whispered one night, "Amara, I think Mom is jealous of you." Amara frowned, shocked. "Jealous? Of me? But I'm her daughter too." Cynthia sighed. "You don't understand. She used to be everyone's favorite woman before you came. Now she feels you've taken all the attention." Amara shook her head, refusing to believe it. "Mama loves me. She can't be jealous of her own child." But deep down, her heart was uneasy. Meanwhile, Maziagu remained blissfully unaware of the tension growing in his home. He worked hard as a building contractor and often came home late, tired, but happy to see his family laughing together, never realizing that Amara's smiles had become forced. Veronica was smart. Whenever her husband was home, she treated Amara sweetly. She would call her, "My darling daughter, bring your father's slippers." "Amara, serve your papa water." Maziagu would beam proudly. "Ah, my wife, you're a good woman. God bless you." But the moment he left the house, Veronica's voice would change. "You useless girl, go and scrub that bathroom before I slap you." Sometimes she deliberately compared her daughters to Amara just to humiliate her. "Look at Ada, see how she dresses decently. You always walking like a peacock because of small beauty." Amara would fight back tears, whispering, "I didn't do anything wrong, Mama." Veronica's reply was always the same. "You don't need to. Your face alone is enough to offend me." The once loving home had become a battlefield of silent pain. Amara found solace in memories of her father's laughter, the gentle way he combed her hair, the songs they sang together. But those moments felt far away now. She prayed every night, "God, please make Mama love me again." I didn't steal her joy, but the heavens stayed silent. And as the months passed, fate began to stir, preparing the storm that would change Amara's life forever. The rains came early that year. Heavy clouds gathered over Nsukka, and the once bright skies turned gloomy and gray, almost as if nature itself sensed what was coming to the Agu family. It began one chilly morning when Mazi Agu complained of a sharp pain in his chest. At first, everyone thought it was just exhaustion. He had been supervising a construction project for weeks without rest. "Papa, please stay home today," Amara begged, holding his hand as he tried to rise from bed. He smiled weakly. "Ah, my little wife, who will bring food to the table if I stay at home?" But the next day, his condition worsened. He coughed violently through the night, clutching his chest, sweating profusely. Amara panicked and ran to Veronica's room, knocking hard on the door. Mama! Mama, please wake up! Papa is sick again. Veronica opened the door slowly, clearly irritated. "In? What is it by this time? Can't you see it? I'm sleeping?" "Papa is coughing blood," Amara cried, tears welling in her eyes. Veronica's face changed instantly. She rushed to Maziagu's room, pretending to be the caring wife everyone believed her to be. She knelt beside him, rubbing his back gently. "Na Anyi, take it easy. I will get your medicine." She sent Amara to fetch warm water, and by the time Amara returned, Maziagu had collapsed. They rushed him to the small community hospital, and the diagnosis came like a blow. Heart failure caused by high blood pressure and stress. Amara sat beside him day and night, feeding him, cleaning his face, and whispering prayers. She barely slept. Veronica came during visiting hours, always with a bright smile, but her eyes carried something unreadable, a mix of impatience and hidden relief. "Don't worry," she told Amara one afternoon. "Your father will be fine. Go home and rest. I will stay with him tonight." Amara hesitated, but Veronica insisted. "I am his wife. You need sleep. Go." That night, something changed. By morning, Maziagu's condition had worsened drastically. His heartbeat was weak. His lips were pale. The doctor said the end was near. When Amara arrived, he was barely conscious. She fell on her knees beside his bed, crying, "Papa, please don't leave me. Please fight. You promised we would go to the market together." He managed a faint smile. His hand trembled as he touched her face. "My little wife, be kind. Don't hate anyone, no matter what they do to you." Those were his final words before his breathing slowed, then stopped completely. The world around Amara shattered. She screamed until her voice cracked, holding his lifeless hand as the nurses tried to pull her away. "Mama, tell them he's not dead," she wailed, shaking Veronica's arm. But Veronica stood silently, tears streaming, but not from heartbreak. Inside her heart, she felt something she could never confess aloud. Freedom. The funeral was grand. Villagers came from far and near to pay their respects to Maziagu, the man everyone loved. Amara wore a black wrapper and sat quietly under the canopy, her eyes swollen from tears. Every time someone mentioned her father's name, her heart ached anew. "Your father was a good man," people said. "God will comfort you." She nodded weakly, unable to speak. Veronica played the grieving widow perfectly. She cried loudly, rolling on the ground, shouting, "My husband! Who will take care of us now?" But even in her display, Amara noticed something unsettling. Her stepmother's tears looked practiced, her sorrow rehearsed. After the burial, the sympathizers left, and silence settled over the compound. The once lively home felt empty. Even the birds seemed to have stopped singing. For days, Amara barely ate. She spent her time sitting on the veranda, holding her father's old walking stick, whispering to the air, "Papa, why did you leave me here? I miss you. I'm scared." It didn't take long for Madame Veronica's true face to appear. One afternoon, Amara was sweeping when Veronica called her sharply. "Come here, you." Amara ran to her. "Yes, Mama." Veronica's voice dripped with bitterness. "From today, you will learn to work hard. Your father spoiled you too much. Now that he's gone, you will behave like a proper girl." Amara looked confused. "But I always work, Mama." Slap! The slap landed before she could finish her sentence. Veronica's eyes blazed. "Don't you dare talk back to me! Do you think this is your father's house? You have nothing here." Amara's mouth quivered as tears rolled down her cheeks. She turned quietly and went back to sweeping, trembling all over. From that day, her suffering began. She was forced to do all the house chores, fetching water, washing clothes, cooking, cleaning, and even hawking food at the market. Her stepsisters, Cynthia and Ada, did nothing. They sat under the mango tree, painting their nails and mocking her. "Housegirl, come wash my slippers," Ada would shout. "You think you're still Papa's princess?" Cynthia sneered. "Those days are gone." Veronica encouraged their behavior. In fact, she made it worse. She stopped giving Amara new clothes, feeding her leftovers, and taking every opportunity to humiliate her in public. But Amara endured. She remembered her father's dying words. "Be kind. Don't hate." So she swallowed her tears and kept working, believing that someday, somehow, things would get better. The beauty that could not be hidden. Despite her hardship, Amara's beauty refused to fade. Her skin still glowed, her eyes still shone, and her long hair, black, thick, and radiant, still framed her face like a crown. Whenever she went to the market to sell goods, men would stop to look at her. Some would say, "Fine girl, who be your mama? I go pay any bride price." Now, this kind woman fit make a man forget his name. Amara always smiled politely and walked away. She had no interest in men. All she wanted was peace. But to Veronica, these compliments were daggers. She couldn't bear to hear men praising Amara while her own daughters were ignored. One evening, after a wealthy trader had publicly admired Amara, Veronica returned home furious. You think you're special, Abi? You want to use your beauty to disgrace my daughters?" Amara was shocked. "No, Mama, I did nothing. Liar! You walk around shaking your hair like a peacock, showing off. I see how those men look at you." Amara lowered her gaze. "I swear I didn't mean—" Another slap. "Shut up! From today, you'll learn humility." That night, as Amara lay crying quietly on her mat, she had no idea that her stepmother's jealousy had reached a dangerous point. Because even as she wept, Veronica sat awake in her room, her mind consumed by one wicked thought. If I cut off her hair, her beauty will vanish. Then no man will ever look at her again. The night was heavy with silence. Even the crickets had stopped singing, as if the whole world held its breath. A soft wind rustled the mango leaves outside, brushing against the wooden windows of the Agu compound. Inside, Amara lay on her thin mat, exhausted after a long day at the market. She had walked miles under the sun, carrying baskets of foodstuffs for her stepmother. Her palms were blistered, her feet swollen, but her spirit, though bruised, was not broken. The small lantern flickered beside her as she brushed her hair gently. Her long black hair flowed down her back like a river, glistening under the dim light. It was the last gift her late father's love had left her, and she guarded it like treasure. She sang softly as she combed, a tune her father used to hum, "When the sun goes down, I will remember you." Her voice trembled, but it was sweet, like hope struggling to survive inside sorrow. When she finally drifted to sleep, tears still glistened on her cheeks. The door creaked open softly. Madame Veronica stood at the threshold, a wrapper tied around her chest, her face half lit by the weak flame of the lantern she held. In her other hand, something sharp glinted, a pair of metal scissors. Her eyes darted toward the sleeping girl on the mat. Amara's hair shone even in the dimness, thick, lustrous, and breathtaking. It moved slightly with every breath she took, like waves stirred by the wind. Veronica clenched her teeth. "So this is what steals everyone's attention," she whispered bitterly. "This cursed hair that makes her more loved than my own daughters." Her heart pounded. Her mind screamed at her to stop, but envy had already taken full control. Step by step, she walked toward Amara, the scissors trembling slightly in her hand. For a moment, she hesitated, staring at the innocent face of the sleeping girl. Amara's lips curled faintly into a smile, perhaps dreaming of her late father. That smile, pure and peaceful, only fueled Veronica's rage. "You'll never smile like this again," she hissed. Then, snip, the first cut broke the silence. A long, silky strand fell onto the mat. Veronica froze, shocked by the sound, but when Amara stirred and then turned still asleep, she continued. Each sound echoed through the room like thunder. Locks of hair fell all around, beautiful black ribbons scattering like fallen petals. Veronica's breathing grew heavier, her movements faster, more desperate, as if she was cutting not just hair, but her own insecurities. Within minutes, Amar's head was bare, smooth, gleaming under the lantern light. The floor was covered with the remains of her glory. Veronica dropped the scissors and stood over her, panting. A cruel smile formed on her lips. "Now let's see if those men will still praise you. Let's see if anyone will still call you beautiful." She turned off the lantern and left quietly, leaving the room in darkness, and the floor littered with the ruins of innocence. The morning of shame, when dawn broke, Amara stretched and rubbed her eyes. The sun had barely risen, painting the walls with a soft orange hue. She yawned and reached for her comb, but when her hand touched her scalp, she froze. Her heart stopped. Her hand ran across her head again, trembling, smooth. No hair. Nothing. What? What happened? She whispered in horror. She turned to the ground thrown and screamed. Her hair, the pride of her beauty, lay scattered across the floor like a dead body. The sight made her blood run cold. She screamed louder, clutching her head. My hair! My hair! Oh God, what happened to my hair? Her cries filled the compound. Cynthia and Ada rushed in, followed by their mother, who feigned shock. What is it again this early morning? Veronica snapped, pretending to yawn. Amara fell to her knees, shaking uncontrollably. Mama, someone cut off my hair. Look at it. Cynthia gasped, pretending to be surprised, but a smirk tugged at her lips. Ada burst into laughter. You look like a roasted plantain, Ada jeered. Amara turned to her stepmother in tears. Mama, please. Who did this to me? Veronica folded her arms. Who else lives here, Amara? Did the spirits come to shave you? Maybe it's punishment for pride. You've been walking around as if beauty is everything. Now you look humble. Amara's mouth quivered. You did this? Veronica's smile curved slightly, not an answer, but a confirmation. Next time, remember beauty fades. The words pierced Amara's heart like a knife. She ran outside, her hands covering her head, her tears falling freely. Neighbors came out to see what was happening. Some gasped in pity, others whispered cruelly. Ah, poor girl. What happened to her hair? Maybe she's sick. No, it's jealousy. I heard the stepmother doesn't like her. Amara didn't care anymore. She ran to the backyard, sat on the ground, and wept until her throat ached. She wept for her father, for her lost beauty, for the cruelty she never deserved. She refused food that day. The sun set, but she still sat in the same spot, broken. As evening approached, Veronica appeared at the doorway, hands on her hips. Enough of this drama. You think crying will grow your hair back? Get up, go to the market and buy these items. She threw a crumpled list at Amara's feet. Amara looked up, her eyes swollen and red. Please, Mama, I can't go out like this. People will laugh at me. Then let them laugh. You think you're better than my daughters? You'll go as you are. When Amara hesitated, Veronica's voice thundered. If you don't leave this compound now, you'll sleep outside. With trembling hands, Amara picked up the list and wrapped her head with a small scarf. But even that couldn't hide her baldness. Her heart pounded with humiliation as she stepped into the street. Every step felt like a walk of shame. People stared. Children pointed. Some laughed. Some pitied. Fine girl, what'n happened to your hair? Ah, her beauty done finish, oh. Amara fought back tears, holding tightly to the market basket. She walked faster, hoping no one else would notice. But fate had other plans, because that day, the same day she thought her life had lost all meaning, a black Rolls-Royce stopped beside her, and the man inside was about to change her story forever. The sun burned hot that afternoon, pouring down golden rays over the crowded streets of Enugu City. Hawkers shouted, buses honked. The air was thick with the smell of roasted corn, fuel fumes, and dust. Among the crowd walked a young girl with a scarf tied loosely around her head, clutching a worn basket filled with foodstuffs. Her feet were dusty, her eyes swollen from crying, and her steps heavy with shame. That girl was Amara. Everywhere she went, people stared. Her scarf kept slipping off, revealing her bald head. She adjusted it nervously, trying to walk faster, but the whispers followed her like shadows. Now who shaved that fine girl like this? Maybe she offend her stepmother, oh. Yeah, she's still fine, small Shah, even without hair. Amara's heart sank deeper with each passing comment. She wanted to disappear, to melt into the ground and never be seen again. She thought about her father, how he used to call her my little wife. He had loved her hair. He had always said it was her crown. Now it was gone, and she felt like she had lost a part of herself forever. She reached the market, bought everything on the list, and began the long walk home. The sun was blazing now, and sweat trickled down her neck. Her scarf slipped off completely this time. She bent to pick it up, and that was when fate intervened. A sleek black Rolls-Royce Phantom cruised slowly down the dusty road, an unusual sight in that area. The locals turned their heads in awe. "Who be that?" someone whispered. "It must be one big man." Inside the car sat Ethan Okiki, a young billionaire in his early 30s. He was tall, handsome, and well-dressed, the kind of man whose calm presence commanded respect. Ethan was not born rich. He had built his empire from scratch, rising from a humble beginning to become one of Nigeria's most successful real estate magnates. He was on his way to inspect a new property when he saw her. There, walking under the scorching sun, was a young girl carrying a basket, barefoot, sweating, and bald. But despite her condition, something about her stopped him cold. Her head glistened like polished bronze under the sunlight. Her face was delicate and striking. Pain, strength, and innocence all mixed together in one expression. Ethan slowed the car. "Stop here," he told his driver. The driver looked puzzled. "Sir, here. This place is rough." "Stop," Ethan repeated firmly. The car halted. Ethan stepped out, ignoring the stares of onlookers. His white designer shirt gleamed against the dusty street as he approached the girl. Amara noticed him coming and froze. The sight of the tall, rich-looking man walking toward her made her nervous. "Excuse me," Ethan said softly. "You dropped something." Amara blinked. "Oh, I don't think I did." He smiled faintly. "Then maybe I just found something I wasn't looking for." Amara frowned slightly, clutching her basket tighter. "Sir, please, I'm just going home." Ethan's voice was calm, kind. "Don't be afraid. I just wanted to say, you're beautiful." Amara's eyes widened in disbelief. "Beautiful? You're mocking me, Abi?" He shook his head. "No, I mean it. You're the most beautiful woman I've seen in a very long time." Her throat tightened. "But I have no hair. Everyone laughs at me." Ethan smiled gently. "That's why I stopped. Because your beauty doesn't depend on what others see. It's something deeper. You carry yourself with grace even when life has tried to break you. That's rare." For a moment, Amara couldn't speak. No one had ever said anything like that to her. Not since her father died. Her heart thumped painfully. Why would someone like you say such things to someone like me?" she whispered. "Because I see what others don't," Ethan replied simply. Their eyes met. For a fleeting second, the noise of the market faded away. All Amara could hear was the sound of her heartbeat. Ethan noticed her trembling hands. "Are you okay?" "I'm fine," she lied. He looked at her basket. "Let me help you with that." She shook her head quickly. "No, sir. People will talk." He chuckled. "Let them talk. I'm not ashamed to help a lady, bald or not." When he reached for the basket, she stepped back, frightened. "Please don't follow me. My stepmother will be angry." That word, stepmother, made Ethan pause. He could hear the fear in her voice. "She hurts you, doesn't she?" Amara's lips trembled, but she didn't answer. She just turned and began to walk away quickly. Ethan didn't stop her, but he couldn't take his eyes off her. There was something about her, a quiet strength behind the sadness, a light that refused to go out even after everything life had taken from her. When she turned the corner, Ethan spoke to his driver. "Follow her, but slowly. I need to know where she lives." Amara finally reached home. Her heart sank as she saw Veronica sitting outside with her daughters, laughing loudly. The moment they saw her, they stopped. "Where are you coming from, bald girl?" Veronica snapped. "You've been gone all day." Amara placed the basket gently on the ground. "I went to the market like you said, Mama." Veronica squinted suspiciously. "And what took you so long? Were you showing your new hairstyle to men?" "Mama, please. Shut up. You think I don't know your type?" Just then a horn sounded. The women turned. The Rolls-Royce had stopped right outside the gate. Ethan stepped out, adjusting his wristwatch, looking every inch the billionaire he was. Veronica's expression changed instantly. She forced a smile, whispering to her daughters, "Behave yourselves. This one looks rich." Ethan walked closer, his calm confidence filling the compound. "Good evening, Ma," he greeted. "Good evening, Shane," Veronica replied sweetly, now pretending to be gentle. "Please, who are you looking for?" "I came to see Amara." The air went still. Mara, Veronica repeated, glancing at the bald girl standing awkwardly by the corner. That one? Yes, Ethan said firmly. I met her today. She left an impression on me, Veronica forced a laugh. Ha! You must be joking. There are many fine girls in town. How can you say you want to see this bald one? Ethan's gaze didn't waver. Because she's the most beautiful among them all. The words hit like thunder. Veronica's smile vanished. Her daughters gasped. Amara's heart pounded so hard she could barely breathe. Ethan stepped closer to her. I don't know much about you, but I know what I feel. There's a purity in you I've never seen before. Amara's eyes filled with tears. You mean you love me? Like this? Ethan smiled softly. Especially like this. Because your bald head shows me that real beauty has nothing to hide. Veronica snapped. Do you even know who she is? She's a poor orphan with nothing. Ethan turned to her calmly. Then she's rich in the one thing money can't buy. Character. Silence filled the compound. Veronica's mouth opened, but no words came out. Ethan reached into his pocket and handed Amara his card. I'll come back tomorrow. Tell your stepmother I'm not leaving without you. Then he walked away, leaving the compound in stunned silence. Amara stood frozen, clutching the card like a lifeline. For the first time in years, someone had seen her, not as a servant, not as a burden, but as a woman worthy of love. And though her heart still trembled, deep inside, hope began to bloom again. The morning after Ethan's visit, the Agu compound buzzed with restless energy. Word had spread quickly through the neighborhood that a billionaire's convoy had stopped in front of Madame Veronica's gate, and that he came because of her stepdaughter, the bald girl. Women fetching water whispered, So it's true? That man say he won't marry the bald one? Ha, wonders shall never end. Some girls carry grace even in suffering. Inside the house, tension was thick. Veronica paced the veranda restlessly, her wrapper tied tightly around her chest, her face twisted in disbelief. Her daughters, Cynthia and Ada, sat nearby, whispering and snickering among themselves. Mummy, what if he truly comes back? Ada asked. Then we must do something. He can't choose that bald house girl over us, Cynthia added. Veronica hissed loudly. Over my dead body. That man must be under a spell. A rich man like that? Falling for a bald orphan? Never. I will expose her for what she truly is. Nothing. But deep down she was afraid. The way Ethan had spoken yesterday, calm, firm, and sure, had unsettled her. He hadn't looked like a man playing games. He looked like a man who had already made a decision. Around noon, the sound of car horns echoed down the street. Everyone rushed outside. A convoy of sleek black cars rolled to a stop before their gate. The neighbors gasped and gathered wide-eyed quickly, eager to witness the drama. The door of the Rolls-Royce opened, and Ethan Okiki stepped out. His presence was magnetic. Tall, elegant, dressed in a snow-white agbada with subtle gold embroidery. He wasn't just wealthy, he carried himself with quiet dignity, the kind that couldn't be faked. His eyes, calm but resolute, scanned the compound until they found her. Amara standing timidly by the corner, her bald head half covered with a faded scarf. Veronica's heart pounded. She forced a smile and hurried forward. Ah, my son, you came again? Please, come in, you're welcome. Sit down. Ethan's voice was polite but firm. Good afternoon, Madam Veronica. I'm not here to sit. I came to see Amara. The smile on her face faltered. Ah, my son, surely you're joking. You mean that one? She pointed at Amara as if she were an object. There are many fine ladies in this town. My daughters, for example. Educated, beautiful, with full hair. But that one, she has nothing. Not even common hair. The crowd murmured. Some laughed. But Ethan didn't flinch. He turned toward Amara, his gaze softening. Yes, he said clearly. That's the woman I came for. The words struck like thunder. Veronica's fake smile collapsed instantly. Are you out of your mind? That girl is a nobody, a curse. Her own stepmother shaved her. Can't you see it's shameful? Ethan took a step forward, his tone still calm. Madam, what you see as shame, I see as strength. This girl has survived pain that would have broken many. She walks with dignity even when stripped of everything. That is real beauty. The compound went silent. Even the neighbors outside the gate stopped whispering. Amara's heart pounded as Ethan turned to her. His voice softened, but it carried through the air like music. Amara, yesterday when I saw you, I saw something rare. I saw a woman who carries light even in darkness. You are not what they call you. You are grace. You are courage. Tears filled her eyes. Sir, please, don't mock me. I have nothing to offer you. Ethan smiled faintly. You're wrong. You have everything I've been searching for, a good heart, and I'm not here to joke or pretend. I came to ask for your hand in marriage. The gasp that followed was almost physical. Veronica's eyes widened in disbelief. Marriage? He screamed, for my dead body. You can't marry this wretched girl. Ethan's calm demeanor didn't break. With all due respect, madam, my decision is not yours to make. I've seen what I want, and my heart is at peace with it. Ada and Cynthia stood frozen, their jealousy burning through their silence. Veronica pointed a trembling finger at Amara. You witch! What did you do to him? Tell me, what charm did you use? Ethan turned to her sharply, his voice now cold. Enough, madam. If you can't see the treasure in front of you, others can. You call her poor, but poverty of the heart is worse than lack of money. And you, madam, are the poorest woman I've ever met. A stunned silence followed. Veronica's mouth fell open, her pride shattered. Ethan faced Amara again. Pack your things. I'm taking you home. You don't belong here anymore. Amara's hands shook. Sir, I don't know what to say. He smiled warmly. Say yes. Through her tears, she whispered, yes. As they walked toward the car, the neighbors clapped softly, some even smiling with joy. God darn vindicate that girl, one woman said. See how grace days shame wickedness. Veronica stood at the doorway, her eyes wide with humiliation, her daughters beside her, speechless. Ethan opened the car door for Amara like a queen. She hesitated for a second, then stepped in. For the first time in years, she looked back at her stepmother without fear, only peace. And as the car drove away, the same sunlight that had once exposed her shame now lit her face like a crown. Her story had changed forever. The day of Amara's wedding dawned bright and golden. The once forgotten girl who had been mocked and humiliated for her bald head now stood before the mirror of a luxury suite in Eden Royal Hotel, wearing a golden traditional gown that shimmered with light. Her eyes glistened with tears, not of pain this time, but of gratitude. In the reflection, she saw not the poor orphan she once was, but a woman reborn. Her head was still bald, but she looked majestic, confident, radiant, and strong. Ethan entered quietly, dressed in a white agbada embroidered with gold. His smile was tender as he looked at her. You're breathtaking, he whispered. Amara turned, her voice trembling. I used to think I lost my beauty when I lost my hair. But now, I see God only took away what hid my true self. Ethan took her hand. You were never less. You just needed someone to remind you how powerful you are. The wedding hall overflowed with people, dignitaries, celebrities, business tycoons, and journalists. But among them sat the woman who had once mocked Amara, Madame Veronica, wearing a faded wrapper, her daughters by her side. She had not been invited, but she came anyway, perhaps to see if the miracle she heard about was true. When she saw Amara walking down the aisle, radiant and confident, her heart sank. The same girl she once called ugly goathead now looked like a queen. The crowd fell silent as Amara and Ethan stood before the officiant. When asked why he chose her, Ethan's voice echoed clearly through the hall. Because she taught me that beauty is not in appearance, but in endurance. Not in the hair we wear, but in the heart we carry. The hall erupted in applause. Tears rolled down Amara's face. She looked toward Veronica's direction, and for a moment, their eyes met. Amara smiled softly and whispered under her breath, I forgive you. Veronica lowered her gaze, shame washing over her. She couldn't stop the tears that followed. Her cruelty had destroyed her peace, but Amara's forgiveness pierced deeper than punishment ever could. The crown without hair. Weeks later, Amara and Ethan launched a foundation, the Bald Queens Initiative, dedicated to supporting young girls who had lost their hair to illness, trauma, or abuse. At the launch, Amara stood on stage before cameras and said, I once believed my hair was my crown, until life cut it off. But I learned that a woman's true crown is her strength. Beauty is not what grows on your head, it's what grows in your heart. The audience rose to their feet in thunderous applause. Ethan smiled proudly beside her, and as the cameras flashed, the world saw her for who she truly was. Not just beautiful, but extraordinary. Moral of the story. True beauty has nothing to do with outward appearance. It comes from a pure heart, strength, and dignity. Envy destroys the soul, but kindness and forgiveness restore peace. No one can dim the light of a person whose beauty shines from within. What is meant for you will always find you, no matter who tries to destroy. And that, dear friends, is the powerful story of Amara, the girl whose beauty shone brighter than envy. No matter who tries to break you, remember, true beauty can never be cut off. It lives within your heart. If this story touched you, please like, share, and subscribe for more emotional African stories of love, betrayal, and redemption. Until next time, stay kind, stay strong, and never forget, grace always wins.